How many games will the Cleveland Browns win in 2024? What's going on, Dog Pound and Browns fans? It's Emmanuel Jones here, back at with another NFL record prediction. And this time we'll be doing our record prediction for the Cleveland Browns for the 2024 NFL season. So we're going to get started here. So I'm going to give you my game analysis, my thoughts, see how many games I think the Browns will win and which games I think the Browns will lose. So before I give you my record prediction for the Cleveland Browns for the 2024 NFL season, put the thumbs up to like the video, subscribe to my channel for more options, and comment down your opinion below to see who do you think, how good you think the Browns are going to be. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs? Do you think they're going to win division, or you think they're going to miss the playoffs? So let me know in the comments below what you think. Okay, so we're going to get started here. So week 1, they kick things off against the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, this is a game right here that can definitely go either way. I kind of went back and forth a little bit on this because both these two teams have a great pass rush and a great secondary. I mean, they're both talented on both sides of the ball. And, some people are probably going to be on the Cowboys because the Cowboys are a better team, have a better quarterback and all that. But I'm not going to rule out the – now, I'm thinking it's going to be a fun game to watch, but I expect it to be an ugly game, a defensive game. But if the game was in Dallas, I'm probably going to go Dallas. But since it's in Cleveland, I'm going to go with the Browns here to win this game. I think the Browns, at home, is going to be pumped and the crowd's going to be loud. I think the Browns defense is going to win this game. Now, the Cowboys could be doing some learning curve because, they lost some pieces on the offensive line. They have a new offensive line. And I think the Browns defense can definitely give the Cowboys offense Dak issues, which I think Dak could be a little bit frustrated and could have a tough time dealing with this pass rush. And, the Browns got a really good secondary that can man up against the Cowboys receivers. And I think the Browns can really run the ball a little bit on them, especially against, a defense that's very soft against a run, which I think they can run the ball really good on them. And I think, their offensive line can control Dallas's pass rush and all that. So even though Deshaun Watson sucks, I think, the Browns can do a good job keeping them clean in the pocket, not making bad throws. And especially, I think they can at least I feel like Myles Garrett can have a good game here, so yeah. But I wouldn't rule out Dallas winning this game. But I think the Browns at home is really tough, and Dallas coming to town. And I think the Browns defense is gonna win this game here. Week 2, they got to play against Jacksonville. Now this is a tricky game here. Now most people could be picking the Browns to win, but it could go either way a little bit. I think they're both similar to each other. But here's the thing. I just have a feeling, that it can go either way because, the game's in Jacksonville, and I kind of really feel like, Jacksonville has a really good defense. Their defensive line is strong. Their secondary is really good. They have good linebackers. Offensive line is okay. They got a really good receiving core in Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas, and Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, and Travis, and they got a good running back. I mean, this game right here can go either way. Now, I kind of believe last year the game was in Cleveland, and Cleveland definitely won that game. That's with Joe Flacco at quarterback, and but here's the thing. I can definitely see the Browns defense giving the Jags offense a lot of trouble because they did that last year, where the Browns were able to at least give the Jags offense issues and all that, which I can see that happening. Which I think it was pretty close last time when they played, but if the game's in Jacksonville, so I'm going with Jacksonville because Jacksonville's kind of a weird place to play at, and I feel like it's the home opener, and I think the Jags of Jacksonville, and I think Jacksonville, can do enough. I feel like the offense can do enough to control time possession, control the game, keep Watson on the sidelines and all that. I think their offense can have a good game here. So yeah. So I think Jacksonville finds a way to win that game, and I think the defense can do a good job stopping their running game. and all that. And they have a pretty good young second that can man up against Amari Cooper and David Njoku. So yeah, I think Jacksonville wins this game. Then the Giants, I think the Browns, win this game here at home because Giants, I don't think they're a good team. Um, their offensive line is not really good. The defense is totally fine, but at least they proved that. I mean, the Giants can definitely give the Browns offense some trouble. I feel like the Browns, they're just a better team overall, better quarterback, better coaching staff. They're at home. And I think this defense is definitely going to make life difficult on Daniel Jones. And they have a good enough second that can man up against an underwhelming receiving core. So, yeah, and I think the Browns' offensive line can do a good job controlling their pass rush to put the Giants' defense and their corners in a bad position. Where I think, where I think the Browns, Amari Cooper and Jerry Judy and David Njoku could definitely be a problem. I feel like there would be too much for a Giants secondary to handle because I don't think the Giants have a great secondary like they used to. So that's why I think the Browns will win. So week 4, they got to play against the Raiders. This is a tricky game. This is a swing game. This is a game that can go either way. Now, some people could be picking the Raiders to win because the Raiders are at home and Vegas is a tough place to play at. Um, the Raiders got a really good pass rush, a good offensive line. They got some good weapons that can really give the Browns defense some issues like Jacoby Myers, um, Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers, a lot of that, and they can run the ball really good. So yeah, I think the Raiders, can definitely win this game. Especially, I don't know who the quarterback's going to be, so that could be a question. So, you know what? I'm gonna hold on to this game for just a bit, and I'll come back to it. Then they play the Commanders. They should beat the Commanders. I mean, Commanders are still not a good team despite them getting Jaden Daniels. Um, Commanders, got a new coach, a new quarterback. They're going to be doing learning curves with that, especially they're dealing with some new pieces on defense as well. Their offensive line is not great. Their defense is totally not great except for the pass rush, and the secondary is not good. So maybe Amari Cooper and Jerry Judy and David Njoku, they can at least like go off against a Washington secondary. Like they can find a way to do that. And I think the offensive line is gonna like give Deshaun Watson time, and I think they can run the ball effectively on them. So yeah, especially the Browns. I wouldn't trust a rookie, especially against an elite defense like Cleveland. So yeah, I think the Browns defense will give them a lot of trouble, and they have a secondary that can really man up against the skill players that Commanders have. So yeah, especially the Browns are a more complete team and have the better coaching staff and the better quarterback for now. So yeah, I think the Browns find a way to win that game. Week 6 they play against the Eagles. Obviously, this is a game right here that can go either way. Now, some people could be picking the Browns to win because I think their offensive line is good enough to block the Eagles, and they can really move the ball on them as well because the Eagles' defense at times are soft against the pass. So that's a tricky game here, but the game's in Philly, so I'm gonna take the Eagles to win because the Eagles are at home. They're the better team overall, the better quarterback. Yeah, and I just think the Eagles' offense can definitely have a big game here. I feel like their O line is good, which I think they can control your pass rush, and I think their defensive line is very strong, which I feel like they can stop their running game really good. They definitely do have the secondary in the corners to man up against the Browns receivers. So yeah, I think the Eagles find a way to win this game convincingly in a defensive game. I think the Eagles defense will win this game. Week 7. I mean, the game is in Cleveland. I can pick the Browns, but in Philly, I'm picking the Eagles. Um, Next game they got to play against the Bengals. I got them beating the Bengals the first time because the Browns typically own the Bengals. They match well. The Bengals are really good. They have a really especially on both sides of the ball. I think their defense can have a big game here, like shutting down the Bengals offense because they did that in previous seasons. So yeah, I think the Browns find a way to win that game. Then week 8, they play against the Ravens. I got them winning the first matchup against the Ravens because the Browns are at home and the Browns are just a way better team. And especially, they're at home and, I feel like the Ravens are kind of better, but I think the Browns, have played the Ravens pretty well, though. Like, I think their defense can do a good job containing Lamar in this game, and I think they can stop their running game as well. But now the Ravens don't have a great offensive line, but I think their defense can come to play here. So, yeah, I think the Browns find a way to win that game. Then week 9, they play against the Chargers. I give them a win against the Chargers because the Browns, they're just a more complete team. The they're at home, and now the Chargers do have a better quarterback in this game, but the Browns are a better team from a talent standpoint. Like the Chargers, are kind of. I don't think the Chargers are going to be a good team, but I think they could take a step forward this year because they got Harbaugh now, so maybe he can definitely make the Chargers a little bit more competitive. But at the same time, I just have a feeling that the Browns, defense can come into play because I think I remember from 2 years ago the Chargers beat them in Cleveland by a field goal. I think the Browns defense can come to play, and I think they can really give the Chargers offense and Justin Herbert some issues. Now, Chargers do have a good offensive line, but they don't have great weapons on offense like they used to. But their defense is totally fine, but they can get ran on at times. But their defense is really not good against the run. They're not good against the pass, so maybe the Browns can throw on them a little bit if they keep Watson clean, and they can run the ball on them a little bit because they have a strong offensive line that can really control the Chargers pass rush, which that can put the Chargers defense in a bad position. And especially the Browns pretty much have more weapons on offense that can do that. And I think their secondary can get sticky against an unwelcome receiving core of the Chargers. So, yeah, if the game was in LA, I could roll with the Chargers, but I feel like the Browns, they're at home and they're a better team overall. So, yeah, I think the Browns win that game. Then week 10 is the bye week. Then after the bye, so they're on a 3-game winning streak. So they're 6-2-1 looking good. So they could be fighting for the playoffs. Now, after the bye week, they got to play against the Saints in New Orleans. This is a tricky game, though. Now, most people are picking the Browns to win because they're a better team, and the Saints, some people are picking the Saints to win because of New Orleans. This is kind of another swing game. I'm gonna hold on to that one too. So yeah, Steelers at Browns. This is on Thursday on a short week. I obviously got the Browns winning because they're at home. They have the better quarterback. I mean, they're at home. I think they're kind of a better team in my opinion. And the Browns play the Steelers really well, especially through over the years. I think their defense can definitely do a good job, like containing Russell Wilson, stopping the run. They can make life difficult on Russell Wilson because the Steelers got new pieces on their offensive line that can really struggle in this game. And, their secondary matches up well with the Steelers' weapons. So, yeah. So, yeah. So I think the Browns defense can definitely win them that game because I think I remember last year in one game the Browns did barely beat the Steelers with Dorian Thompson. So yeah, I think the Browns are gonna find a way to win that game at home. Then they gotta play the Broncos on a Monday. That's when they got 10 days to prepare and get ready for the next game. Now the game's in Denver and Mile High is kind of a tricky place to play at though during the time because it could be cold there and all that. But Denver, I kind of remember last year when these two teams played, Denver really blew them out. That's when Russell Wilson had a really good game, especially, they ran the ball really well in the Browns. Like, Russell Wilson was making big plays, and their defense really shut down the whole entire Browns offense, which I can see him do it again, but I don't think so. I think the Browns find a way to win that game because the Browns are just a better overall team. They have the better coach. Um, I mean, they have like more stable with the quarterbacks. And it's like I don't know who the quarterback for the Broncos is going to be. Whether it's going to be Zach Wilson or Bo Nix. If it's Bo Nix, I wouldn't trust a rookie against that good of a defense like the Browns. And especially, I believe the Broncos, are going to be one of the worst teams in the league coming into this season because, their quarterback position sucks. Their old line is not great. Their receiving core outside of Cortland Sutherland is not good. The defense, I mean, the defense, can do a good job giving the Broncos offense issues, and they can like at least make some plays here on offense to give the Broncos defense issues. So yeah, so I think the Browns win this game. Then against the Steelers, I'm gonna give them the win here. I mean, they'll split with Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh pretty much owns them. So I'm giving them a win, and I give the Steelers a win in Pittsburgh and all that because they play them tough every year. So yeah. Then against the Chiefs, this is another swing game. Now some people are probably picking the Chiefs to win because they're a better team overall, but I think the Browns can definitely give the Chiefs offense a lot of issues, especially with their pass rush. So you know what? I'm gonna come back to this one too. So yeah. Um, then they got Thursday night on a short week, the Browns versus the Bengals. I say the Bengals split with the Browns, so I give the Bengals a win here because they're at home, better quarterback, they're a better team overall. So yeah, that's why I think the Bengals win. Week 17, they play against the Dolphins. Now, most people are picking the Dolphins to win because the better quarterback and all that, but I'm giving the Browns to win here at home. I think the Browns match up well with the Dolphins really good. And this is a bad matchup for Miami because, Miami, is traveling to Cleveland where it could be cold or it could be warm there. And I think the Browns defense is definitely going to give the Dolphins offense a lot of issues. They're going to give Tua some fits. They can get after Tua. And they got a good secondary that can man up against the Dolphins receivers. So, yeah. I think, the Dolphins defense I have a feeling that I think the Browns defense is just gonna like come to play here, and I think their defense is just gonna win them this game here. And especially the Dolphins don't really have a lot of players on offense. I mean, defense. Their defense may not be the same as last year because I don't know what it's gonna look like with their new defense coordinator. Their secondary is still the same, but their defensive line could be a little shaky because they got new pieces there. So I think the Browns can run the ball on them, especially their O line can block the Dolphins as well. So yeah, and I feel like Deshaun Watson can have a lot of time, to throw the ball through the air against an overrated secondary in the Dolphins. So I think the Browns win that game. Then last game, Week 18, versus the Ravens, I got them splitting with the Ravens, so I give the Ravens a win here because the game's in Baltimore. They're at home, better quarterback. I mean, yeah, I think they're a better team overall. So right now the Browns are like 9-5-3. So I'm probably gonna give the Browns maybe a win somewhere. They're probably gonna win either the Raiders or the Saints or the Chiefs. I think they're gonna lose one of these and win one of these. I'm gonna say they beat the Raiders. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say they lose to the Saints, and I'm gonna say they upset the Browns. So upset the Chiefs. So that's kind of fair enough. I think I got the Browns at least win at least like 11, 12 games. I got them winning at least like 10, 11, or 12 games. So which that's kind of fair enough. So the reason why I think the Browns will beat the Raiders is because I don't know who the quarterback for the Raiders is, whether it's going to be Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. I wouldn't trust a young quarterback against that good of a defense like the Browns. And I think the Browns have a slightly better defense that can get after the quarterback. They can stop their running game. And I think their O-line can block the Raiders' pass rush. And they have a better secondary that can really man up against the Raiders' receiving core. And I think the Raiders' secondary is not really good. I'm not a fan of it, but I think Deshaun Watson can take advantage of it, especially with the weapons they have on offense. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule out the Raiders winning, but I think the Browns will win because they're just a better team overall. Then they got to play. Then I got a loss of them against the Saints because the game's in New Orleans, and New Orleans is a dome team, and it's kind of a tough place to play at because New Orleans. I feel like their defense is pretty good, and they can give Deshaun Watson issues. Now we've seen that 2 years ago when the games in Cleveland, like the Saints went on the road and beat them. I think their defense can give the Saints a lot of I think their defense give the Browns offense a lot of problems, and I believe their secondary is pretty good, which they can man up against the Browns receivers. And Derek Carr, he can have a good game here, but I think the Saints can definitely struggle in this game. So I think the Saints find a way to win that game. Even though I think the Browns are a better team and a better coach team, I think the Saints are going to win that game. And I got them upsetting the Chiefs for a reason, because it's in Cleveland. I think their defense can give them a lot of trouble. They have a great pass rush to get after Mahomes. They have the secondary that can really man up against the Chiefs receivers. And I think their old line can definitely give Deshaun Watson a lot of time, and I think they can control the Chiefs pass rush, and they can move the ball on them a little bit. Now the secondary kind of scares me for the Chiefs. I feel like without L'Jarius Sneed, I think the Browns offense can definitely be explosive. I think Amari Cooper or Jerry Judy can be a problem, especially David Njoku can too. Even though I think the Chiefs are a better team and have a better quarterback and a better coaching staff for more reasons. Like, they're a better team from a talent standpoint, but I think the Browns are just going to win at home because, the weather and all stuff could be cold there. And I feel like their defense can win them this game. But I wouldn't rule out the Chiefs winning, but I think the Browns find a way to pull it out. So basically, I have the Browns going 11-6, which that's pretty good enough to make the playoffs. I feel like I could see them winning at least like 12 games, maybe like 13 at best, and 9 at worst. I feel like the Browns are the type of team to be a playoff team this year. I mean, their defensive line did improve. They added some pieces. The offensive line is very strong. Their receiving core did improve. But the biggest thing is they lost their offensive line coach. I don't know how's that going to impact the Browns, but I don't know that. And Deshaun Watson, he's not really a good player. He's kind of not the same player like he used to be. I think he has regressed, and I think the defense. So yeah, especially when you look at the Browns' schedule, it's tough because they have to play teams like the Cowboys, the Jags. They got to play the Eagles, the Bengals twice, the Ravens twice, the Steelers twice. They play the Dolphins. I mean, that's kind of a brutal schedule there. I mean, 8-0 at home is what I had them going. 3-3 in the division, 8-4 in the conference, 3-6 away. I mean, that's pretty good. So yeah. So I got the Browns like in third place though for a reason. I kind of got them in like third in their division. Like, I just have a feeling that Deshaun Watson. I don't think he's great of a quarterback, and the quarterback position is a big concern because I don't think Deshaun Watson's great. I mean, even when Joe Flacco was starting, I mean, he looked it pretty good. So I feel like the Browns, are going to be a team that probably could definitely make the playoffs this year, but I would not be shocked if they missed out on the playoffs. So yeah. So so as I look at their schedule, I can see the Browns losing games like the Cowboys. I can see them lose to the Raiders. Like, I can see them lose some of these games, and I can definitely see them beating the teams like I can definitely see them lose to the Chiefs, but I can definitely see them beating teams like the Saints and the Eagles and the Jags. So yeah. So 11-6 is what I have for the Browns. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Was Emmanuel Jones a big fan? Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later in the next video. Peace.